The employment market has, up until now, been relatively stable, but I think there are very choppy waters ahead, and this is why I think executives have to be extremely cautious as we head into the end of year cycle. And there are definitely a number of factors at play. We have the rising cost of living, so personal household budgets are being stretched to the limits. We have companies that are ratcheting up the requests to come back into the offices, and that's usually because they've got a lot of real estate sitting idle. We have the interest rates, which have continued to go up. We've got an economy that overall is very flat, low productivity, and we have very low business and consumer confidence. So we have a sort of perfect storm brewing. In my opinion, and I might be wrong, but I am reading the tea leaves here and I'm seeing the warning signs. I think we're going to see a lot of retrenchments, corporate restructuring, downsizing of corporates in the lead up to the end of the year. And that middle management level of companies are at real risk of being downsized. And it's often the executive who's sitting in the mid-management levels of the companies that are on quite significant pay packets. They're on 150K plus. They're often the people who are first targeted when these retrenchments and corporate restructures start to happen. And you will see quite well-known companies that are household name companies that are declaring billion-dollar profits, but they will let 1,000+ executives go as they restructure, trim the fat, make their operations more streamlined. What happens, unfortunately, is this all happens at once. Everyone seems to get onto the Kool-Aid and everyone starts letting staff go. There is a round after round of corporate restructures happening, and we're seeing it already in the market. We've been seeing this for quite a few months in the IT sector. And it will continue to happen across banking and finance and insurance and even some of the busier sort of parts of the market like healthcare. You'll even see some light adjustments happening in those sectors. So for executives, this means you absolutely must at all times have your resume up to date, showcasing your experience. You should have your LinkedIn profile looking fabulous. You should be getting inbound inquiries about your services. So headhunters should be ringing you. You should be on the radar of the top corporate headhunters. If you're not, you need to start to forge those relationships now. You don't want to be going to headhunters in a crisis, i.e. you've lost your job. You want to be forging these relationships ahead of time. And you need to think about just your own personal sort of scenarios. Do you have 6 months worth of savings? Do you have, a buffer if something was to transpire? Do you have a second source of income that would sort of take you through hard times? We're going to have to be very, very nimble in these volatile economic times, and the executives who are prepared to pivot, who can bounce back from a setback, who can read the writing on the wall and get ahead of the curve, will typically end up doing quite well. So if you're interested, book into my diary for a complimentary career assessment. It's a perfect time to really get a bead on how you're tracking, what some of the options might look like, what some of the career moves could look like, and ask yourself this question right now. If I was made redundant on Friday, if I was let go from my company, what would I do? Would I be able to survive and thrive over the course of 6 months trying to find my next employment position? Would that be possible? You really need to have those contingency plans in place for all scenarios, because I think we're going to see some very challenging economic circumstances coming our way in the next few months.